All right. So basically, we're gonna do this raw, no editing. So things might be said that hopefully don't get out of hand. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Enjoying that Genshin Impact grind, by the way, though.
Farming Primogems so that I can pull Armpit Mom? Yes.
Wait, you still gonna go for more?
I'm debating C2 because there's so much exploration I have done, and I was thinking maybe I will finally get the compasses for the regions, since
Region
I mean,
compass
her
region.
banners- Yeah, the treasure chest compasses.
Oh.
None of my areas have maxed out exploration at all.
This man.
So I'm thinking, well, in theory, I might be able to hit pity again, but I have to win the 50-50 this time.
Wait. Oh shit. This is a Warframe video. We went off track. Okay. Okay. How's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, I just got back from, I would call it a 1 week vacay, but not really, since I brought my PC with me. It's trying to sneak in some time here and there.
Man's gotta work, grind.
Yeah. Well,
Or-
you caught me at the start of my day, so if anybody's wondering why I sound like this,
Or else you'd be hearing.
because I just woke up.
Welcome back. Hey everyone.
Hey everyone, welcome back.
All right. Let's start off by introducing yourself. Who are you, and etc. etc.
I'm I'm Asian Invasions.
Wait, is that how you pronounce it?
Oh, it actually is, but I don't usually bother correcting people because some people have taken upon themselves to say it however they want.
Man.
And I think what is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's already 6 different ways I could think of people say my name. But hey, if you were ever wondering, it is actually on my Twitch panels. I tell anybody that asks, if they really want to know, it's like just scroll down a little bit, and it's the first thing you'll see.
Damn.
But yeah, I'm a residence gremlin that works only at night hours, and some people actually think I live in Asia because of that. My little YouTube journey from 2.5 years ago that went from all Eidolon stuff to memes and builds into I don't know what it is now, and I don't know why people still want to watch my stuff because it makes me question myself sometimes when I come up with those builds.
Listen, I remember when I used to watch your old stuff, right? It was I think the first thing I ever saw of yours was the Excalibur Exalted Blade, right?
Oh god.
Yeah. And there was a Bronco hunt or something. Was it Bronco or Act Bronco? I totally forgot.
Yep.
One of
It
those
was the
things.
single Bronco.
It was like armor strip, right, or something. Yeah, damn. Because I remember I was on stream one day. I was hunting some Eidolons, and Bright. I'm pretty sure you know Bright Essence, right? Old hunter. He's a D2 Andy now. So he came. It was in chat. It was talking about how he was doing some meme run with some dude named Asian Invasions, right? right.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is that? It's like, oh, he's just some Eidolon hunter does YouTube videos. I'm like, oh shoot. The only Eidolon YouTubers that I knew of was, of course, Double and some Asian dude. I forgot where he's from. He doesn't upload anymore.
What about Kooks and Sky?
I didn't even.
Copper.
No. I didn't even know they made videos. But yeah. So at that time, I was like, who's this guy? So yeah, I saw the channel. It was a bunch of meme hunts. I'm like, sheesh. It's like, because I remember my first meme hunt, right? It was when Wisp first launched. And I was like, Chris was with me. I was like, yo, her kit is pretty decent. How about a DPS Wisp? I'm like, shoot, yeah. I got her, easily did, it was at that time, 5x3. I was like, damn, I should do more of these things. And that's how I got into the whole like meme hunts with Eidolons.
So oh, okay, so it's a meme hunt because it's not, well, I thought you meant it was a meme hunt because you're too busy distracted looking at something else instead of watching the Eidolon.
No, actually a meme hunt, as in, it's not using the meta frames and weapons and stuff. Also, I remember, sorry, go on, you were saying?
I mean, I guess, yeah, it is pretty hard to do meme hunts with Wisp when it's like Magic Salami on one side and trying to fast charge and click bombs on the other side.
It was actually a lot easier back then as well. Because at that time we still had the blink, wasn't it? Yeah, we still had the blink.
I'm blinking right now. It's my that blink.
Yes.
The blink that everybody misses and half the people quit.
Really?
Despite the fact that probably more 6s were achieved after the removal than before.
True. Like, I never, like, the blink wasn't that big of a deal for me. Because, I don't know. I just felt it was just like, okay, it's gone. There are other ways to get around it. And, it was me, Bright, and some other people who were trying to find out different ways. I was like, maybe we can use Nova. And funny enough, Nova right now is one of the speedrunner warframes, right? I was like, we can use Nova, maybe Hydroids 2. Was it the 2? The tide thing? We would jump into the air and then we could fly with it.
Oh, so you can morb around with that thing right now. You can use aim glide mods and it's...
Yeah, it was actually decent.
Fly so fast. Yeah.
It didn't get too far, but it was just like, it was COPIUM. And then Wisp just came out of nowhere. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, Wisp. She increases flight speed as well. And you pick up motes.
That's so rare. We pretty much have almost no ways to increase Archwing flight speed through abilities, except Volt Speed and motes, right? Oh wait, Octavia's speed buffer, but that's kind of...
Yeah, it's too...
Nobody uses that.
Yeah. I tried using Escape Velocity with Nova to go through the portal, but that didn't work, unfortunately.
You know what the funniest thing with Saren's is? If you cast Molt and go on Archwing, it doesn't apply to the Archwing, but if you dismount, she still has the speed.
Features.
I know, right?
I also remember you never spoke in your videos until like, was when the Sisters of Parvos came out, or was it just slightly earlier than that?
Somewhere around there. It was mostly because I had a shit mic that was very breathy. So I just would make the recording not pick up my own mic, but I did. No, it was more like you could actually hear me breathing in and out and exhaling into the mic and shit like that. A couple of the earlier uploads actually have that in there because I forgot to set it to not pick up.
I had that. I still what I used to do is when I used to record my audio, it was pretty much on Audacity, and it was background noise and, you know, me breathing and, you know, pausing and all that random nonsense. But I used to edit that out meticulously, like step by step. Like, oh, I had a little stutter here, and cut that out, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I still do, but right now it's more. You just
real.
see you just see the random cut. You know, I was talking, cut.
Yeah, those were the days when I didn't edit anything though. That was just I just recorded on Shadowplay in a Discord call, and I just uploaded the whole run raw, and that was the run.
Damn. So how's your journey as a content creator? Because I've been through it, the hurdles. If you can give, you know, an insight from your perspective, from going from Eidolon person to where you are now. How was that?
I think there was definitely a shift after Deimos, where I realized that there was a part of the game, read as literally everything except Eidolons in the game, that I wasn't really that experienced or knowledgeable in, but it was interesting to see what type of weird builds I could make, because at the time when I first made a couple of build videos during Deimos, that was the first time I touched Steel Path.
For real?
Yeah, because I never had a reason to before, because all I did was hunt Eidolons, right? So I would just log in, log out, log in, log out. And then I finally started making the other builds, and I was thinking, hey, some of these weapons are really quirky and kind of cool. Some of them are copium, but there's some actually interesting ones. Like, what is it? Sporothrix is... On a lot of builds, it's not that fun to use, but you slap up Sporothrix on a Gauss or a Wisp, and then it just goes like, new.
What is that again?
The status sniper that has, I think, 2% crit chance, but it explodes
one, right?
or something, or and it has slash.
Oh yeah.
So that thing is scary with fire rates, and on some frames, it just really starts to shine. I was thinking, okay, this is actually useful. And then I was thinking maybe there's ways I can make other weapons that don't seem initially good, actually good enough at least to see if I can enjoy the rest of the game, since at that point in time I was just thinking, man, what am I supposed to use? I mean, I could build stuff like an Ignis, but I do also have a 10 form of Rubico, so I can just bring that into normal missions. And I was thinking, you know, I don't really want to spend all my time going into Steel Path just scoping down sites with my 10 form of Rubico, sniping each thing individually. And I'm just thinking, okay, if I get bored of using this, I don't know how the hell people put up with using an Ignis all day.
Oh my god.
So that's how Ignis. I got around to picking up other weapons and trying them out.
So you just started off with weapons. Yeah, I remember like some like random video. What was it? The recoil thing. What weapon was that?
Oh, the Trump.
Yeah, I remember that shit.
That was basically a one and done thing. I was thinking, okay, I might get around to it in the future again, but it was basically a, can I make a meme video? What could I cover?
Dude,
okay,
that did
I know this
up.
thing kicks like hell. Oh, it did. I think that might have been one of the few things that put me on the map a bit earlier, since I made that back when I guess I would say I was really, really small. Basically just a drop in the ocean at best.
And content creation is like a massive popularity contest, you know. Who can spark the attention of viewers, get them to watch the video, So it was good for you as well.
And then the next year rolled around. Is that 2021, I think, right? Yeah, okay, 2021. And then a bunch of other updates started. They picked up a little bit because we had Tempestari, which took about 3.5 to 4 months, which is faster than we get them now.
Tempestari, the release of Gloom.
Yeah, that was something. And that was when I decided, you know what? I was getting pretty tired of Eidolon runs at that point, because I think I was uploading something every 2 or 3 days of some bullshit meme run.
Dude,
and you just run out of things. That was already at the point where I was spamming. I'm pretty sure I was just spamming melee runs at that point in time.
Oh no. And
anybody who's tried it, and I'm sure you know either. There's a reason why we don't really do melee runs for hunts, because it's kind of a pain in the ass.
I tried it once. I tried it once. I'm never doing it again.
And then it's just like 6 set. Oh, looks like we'll make it. Oops, I just missed the limb on Hydro Daywalk. Well, there goes the whole night cycle.
I tried a melee run after I saw Double do it with the Oma.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that thing. I was like, yo, I gotta try this. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm not trying this anymore. I was like, screw this, dude. I'm done. Sticking to the whole Eidolon topic, do you feel as if the Eidolon hunting community is toxic? Because you see this always in the comment section, like, I don't do Eidolon hunts because the Eidolon community is toxic. How do you feel about that?
So I would say at the top, like the people that we normally know, there's an occasional outlier here or there that can kind of be a prick to people. But I would say most of the saltiness as well as the toxicity is it gets more concentrated the further down you trickle in the ladder. And I would say it's the worst somewhere around the 4 to 5x. At least that's how I feel, because to me that represents the people that have watched and feel like they understand 6x, which I'm not sure if they actually do or not, but then get frustrated they can't reach it and blame it on their teammates instead, when a lot of times it's not actually your teammates. Because while 6x isn't super duper hard, which it's actually really easy now.
It's not, but it's easy, yeah.
There's certain things that you really need to understand to do it properly. Like, you can't just, I'm just going to blindly shoot my amp. The shield will go down eventually. Or it's like, who cares about not flying over there and screwing up Vonless spawns? I'm not the one that charges lures.
My God.
Well, now you're screwing it up for the lure charger. I hate
when that happens. I hate when that happens. Yeah, I've been telling people, like, what you guys are experiencing, right? You never see this around like 6x3 hunters. Everybody 6x3, it's either like really annoyed and bored that they do stupid things, or there are people who are just like so focused on getting a freaking sub 7, 658 run, 657, 656, all that stupidness. Right? They're just like Sorry?
I think one of the biggest obvious cases is people that are just early getting their first 6s or struggling to get it when they blame the shrine that they can't get it, when there's actually a way how the shrine works, and if it bugs out, it is bugged, but you can get around it, and we know how it works. But
let me tell you something about
just keep
holding
spamming
X on shrine. Simple. Remove all your shards.
You just spend 2-3 minutes at shrine because people just keep spamming X instead of listening.
Yeah. Little tip, check your pings, let the host go first. If 2 people have matching pings, they can hold X on shrine, interact. And then the other guy with the higher ping goes last, just to make it safe. Or you go 1 by 1. It's like very simple and easy. But yeah, like, how do you feel about the other people instead of, people who already gotten the stuff together and are just failing to do it because of, incompetence, right? How do you feel about the other guys, the people who complain about the gear requirements of Eidolon hunts?
I find it really, really funny when people complain about gear these days, when I'm pretty sure a majority portion of the active player base that is currently playing now, which means the people that are complaining only represent a portion of the people that are playing now. The active player base, I think there's quite a lot of people that have run New War.
True.
We may not all have Rubicos. We all have Nataruks. You've used it, I've used it. We know it's a bit annoying to hit limbs, but there's no doubt that thing hits very, very hard against limbs. So gear requirements wise, when that thing comes with, was it 2v polarities or was it more? I remember it came with polarities and people were commenting something about it.
Like what?
But that thing, on just a generic volt, like, you don't need high strength, just have above neutral strength and throw an Eclipse, which, I mean, if you don't have helmet at this point in the game and you're trying to do Eidolons, what are you doing? Its helmet came out
2 years ago?
2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago.
There are actually people still commenting. It's like, I won't do this build. This build sucks because it uses a helmet. And they're like, there's like, I'm MR26. I'm never getting the helmet.
But how can you complain that the gear is the content is too hard now if you refuse to use the gear that's pretty much accepted to be typical meta?
True.
It's...
Also, for those who I'm just gonna say, like, you don't even have to use a primary. The Rattle Guts, big fan. What do you call it? And other freaking hit scan secondaries. Pandero is insanely easy to use, and you have the Prime version as well.
And one of the things with the meme runs I always did, one of the rules I set was that teammates are not allowed to buff me. And unless it absolutely needed it, it was always done rivenless.
Yeah.
Also, I'm pretty sure I usually ban helmet usage on my part. If I recall properly, I'm pretty sure most of my runs in like the final parts, including the melee runs, I didn't have any rivens. I didn't have Eclipse. It was just Shock Trooper and Shields and Vigor Swap and a Darza Avenger. That's it. Dude, and that's a longer list, but it's like I don't have the massive gigantic buff. So then when people say it's like, oh man, Rubico's not strong enough, I'm just wondering, what type of buffs are you skipping? You must be skipping helmets and then also all of the buffs I use instead of helmets, which means you're basically just not using buffs at all.
They don't use Vigorous Swap. They don't use the shields. They don't use Shock Trooper. And they're sitting there shooting, why doesn't my thing do the damage you're doing? I even showcased a Rivenless hunt with Rubico, right? And non-helmet. This was before helmets, by the way. Right, it was just Shock Trooper and Volt Shield with Vigorous Swap. Just sit behind a shield, double tap weapon swap for Vigorous Swap, right? And shoot through the shields. You're done. Just make sure to have a decent amount of power strength so you can get that electric buff on the weapon. It's not
so
that...
You know what I heard? So you know what I heard about now in recruit chat? It's funny because it seems like they were always super slow to pick up on sniper combo, and I'm still not too sure if enough people use it.
That's right.
It's better than before, but still not as good as it should be. But the funny thing is, with all of the speedruns that have been posted in the past, I'd say half a year or so, we're starting to see Zeniths and Nels pop up in recruit chat.
Yep.
And it's kind of funny because I'm just thinking about how, oh, you can't get enough damage out of Rubico. Why are you switching to Zenith? Do you actually have a Riven good enough to make Zenith worth using over Rubico? It's
True.
like, they just copy what they see, but then they never really seem to get why it's used the way it is.
Exactly. That's one of the main things. And also, like, you get people saying, why you keep on shooting the Eidolon? Like, it's combo. To build up combo, it's like a separate damage multiplier. You know, it's insane. And hence why snipers are like so good in Eidolon hunts, because of that free damage multiplier you get just from just shooting the friggin' Eidolon.
Oh, you don't want to use RQX?
What the heck is that?
Voidrig?
Oh my god, don't get me started. Oh, I actually mauled when I hear people recommending just use your necromech for Eidolon hunting. I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
I was always really irritated when people gave the argument about, well, you're more likely to have a mech built than a Rubico, and it's like that's not true.
You're more likely
when
to have a
first came out,
gun built properly.
When Eidolons came out, people were running whatever weapons. Over time, the meta slowly evolved. People started building snipers. Eidolon was still considered newish content, so people were building snipers. Yeah, I still have mine, and I take it out from time to time. But then Orphix Venom came out, and if you wanted to play it, you needed a mech, unless you wanted to pick up one of those piece of shit mechs that were on the floor of the mission. So the only reason why people even had Voidrigs was because of Orphix. If it wasn't for Orphix, there wouldn't have been no case of, oh, well, you're more likely to have a Voidrig than a sniper. But the thing now is, Orphix was a year and a half ago, so you can't even use the arguments anymore of, well, you're more likely to have a mech than a sniper, because the content of Orphix is old enough that anybody who came after it, which there's a lot of people that picked up the game afterwards in that year and a half span, they're not any more likely to have a mech than a sniper. And if you're starting from zero, it is absolutely much easier to build up a sniper than a mech, because forming that mech is a pain in the ass. The amount of mods you need, like, you need good arch gun mod. You don't need a full build for Arcubex, but if you're newer to the game, you're not gonna have the mods needed for the Arcubex to actually do good damage. It's gonna be a shit build, and it feels like a normal weapon because it's strong enough to feel like a normal weapon even with a shit build, but it's a projectile that arcs. So why would you go through all of this trouble when you could just build a sniper that stands alone and doesn't need anything else to go with it? You don't need to do special quests. You don't need to form the mech and the weapon.
Nope.
So,
I mean, when you think about it, you're also gonna need to form the Warframe. You got to get your amp. You got to get your focus schools. So adding another layer of gear that's unnecessary is just going to be so much work for you. There's no point.
Plus, Chroma and Rubico are unvaulted right now. Don't worry about Chroma though. That's old stuff at this point. But Rubico is there. So anybody who's listening right now, if you're considering hunting around the time when this video comes out, just pick up the Rubico. It's unvaulted and it's cheap now.
Dude. But I thought Chroma is the best Warframe. What do you mean Chroma is bad?
I mean, you can still hunt with them. It's just gonna be a pain in the ass, and you better know what you're getting yourself into if you're gonna do that.
It sounds like COPIUM, dude. Also, was it earlier? It was earlier today, right? There was an individual saying something about you being the Godfather of Eidolon hunting, right? And I actually clipped it. Give me a second.
I saw it pop up afterwards.
Here, so I clipped it. This was like on the Here, let me stream it for you so you can share the screen. Yeah, can you see it?
Yes, the Hildren.
Yeah. So,
all right.
I clipped this today. For those who are listening, if you didn't know, you will know after this little clip right here.
All I said was 1. I invented 2 plus 1, which is true.
For those who don't know what 2 plus 1 is, it's when you go into planes to, quick charge, fast charge a lure, and you only get 2 VOMs next to the lure. You grab that lure with the 2 VOMs, and then you go to a different location, or you go to the Eidolon itself, the Terror list, and you'll get a Vomvolist underneath. 2 plus 1 is 3. So you need 3 Vomvolists to charge 1 lure. If you didn't know what 2 plus 1 was. So, carry on.
True. 2, that I invented the solo contagion meta, which is also true, and that's actually very easily proved.
Yeah, can you prove that as?
3.
Oh, I actually can, because my 836 here. Let me see if I can find this. I'm gonna have to search it up on Double's channel. He put up a run that was around 840 something. Way back when Redeemer was meta.
Dude, that's when I did my solos. Bro.
So the reason why I picked Contagion at the time was, I'm just gonna admit it right here, like, Double is a way better of a player than I am. He's more mechanically skilled.
Oof.
And he's smoother at just flowing from one thing to another when he's going through his decision process. You can see when he does his solo runs, like, he'll be doing something and then move on to the next one instantly, and if you weren't paying close attention, like you're watching a run for the first one of his runs for the first time, you'll just be thinking, wait, why did he just do that? Oh, he's going to do this, but that was so fast. Why did he do like that? Well, I guess that's just what happens when you hunt that long. But I would also say he is actually skilled. I've been hunting for a while. I can't do it to the extent that he does.
It's just experience and something that you're just, you're used to. Muscle memory and, and all that.
If I type in 848 solo try...
That I invented the operator Twin Horns fast charge.
What is that? That is that Twin Horns? Is that the lake QC?
No, it's the dash where you go left from the gate and you stop on the hill to spawn bombs by the Twin Horns lure.
Oh, left camp, like at the okay. See, I don't know the names. I just call it, left, right, mid, lake.
Oh man, I don't know how far down it is.
Which is also very easily proved and true. Those were the 3 things that I said. Oh, and the daywalk guide. That I had the first clear-cut daywalk guide.
Yes.
May 3rd.
For those who don't understand what daywalking is, when you're still fighting the Eidolon, you get Kanzu. Was it not Kanzu? What's his name? The other guy. The Eidolon guy. The Quill guy. Onko. When you get Onko saying, daylight is here. Think fast or whatever. I forget the lines. I have him muted. So whenever he comes up, you need to get the Eidolon in a certain position so he does not walk into water and despawn. So you keep him in a weird spot. Daywalking, basically. You walk the Eidolon by shooting specific limbs so he ends up on land and not able to move into water.
Okay, so I did actually find the videos. So up until that point here, I'll just put this in the DMs because it's a bit easier for context. It doesn't show the dates, but this video of his was put up on March 9th, 2020. And it was the long-standing record for a very, very long time because it was, I think, 12 seconds faster than his previous. And this specific run ended another journey where he was competing with a Korean runner for about half a year at one point, where she would consistently beat his time by 1 second. It was always by 1 second.
Damn.
And she eventually stopped, but this is where the solo meta itself started in general, because up to this point, there wasn't really anybody else that was seriously chasing solo runs and challenging double. So he was just beating his own times, and he would do it very slowly because he didn't have much of an incentive to speed up.
Oh, yeah.
But in that half a year, the runs went from, I think, like 11 minutes something all the way down to this 8:48 in just that 6-month span, which I thought was pretty crazy. In May, I released this video, which was actually the very first time ever Contagion was used in a solo. So that was May 3rd, 2020. It's funny because about a couple months ago, I actually got a comment on this video saying, I'm just copying Double's run. It's literally the same thing as his. But the funny thing is, the run that they were referencing is this one. And that video was uploaded 1 day later on May 4th, 2020. And that was the first time Double used Contagion. Because up to that point, he was only using Redeemer. And the reason why I use Contagion is going back to where I said Double is just a better player than I am. So the only way I could challenge his times was finding new strats to get around obstacles he just chose to deal with because, well, he was good enough to deal with them. Redeemer being the obvious offender of every single time you shoot it, it uses 2 Void Strike stacks. So I'm thinking, well, if I can't play better than him, then my best odds of beating him is if I can somehow preserve my stacks. And that's how the Contagion meta was born.
Oh, dude, this was the time when Lockdown dealt damage. Yeah, those days, bro. Too. Oh my god, good old times, man. Good old times.
And the funniest thing was, Contagion was so new at this point. I bought my first Contagion ribbon for this run. I think it was a Bala. And eventually I moved up to a Miwan. The Bala cost me 20 plat because it was a crit minus range. And the Miwan cost me like 50 plat.
They didn't know. They didn't know minus range is... Oh, shit.
And then a year and a half down the road, by then, like almost everybody that was doing solo runs was using Contagion. And it was kind of known at that point. I bought a... Crunch. It was the Crunch I've always been looking for.
Yeah, higher dispo.
That thing cost me 5,000 plat, and I outbid another fellow hunter to get it.
Damn.
I was like, that's just the span of from when it first started to what it became when it cemented itself later on. And that's what I mentioned in the end. It's, I sometimes come up with stuff. I don't know if it's going to make it into the meta or not. I mean, if people have been watching my stuff, they probably know 99% of the stuff I come up with doesn't make it to the meta because it's very contrived or is just theory craft for the sake of theory craft. But sometimes stuff works out, like this one, which I guess was lucky for me in the end because it let me challenge the record. But obviously, once Double picks it up, well, he just beat my times then again, and they just get beat back.
Oh,
like,
you're copying. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. We also get that, you know, when people say like, "Hey, you're copying Az's video," or they come to you saying, "Hey, you're copying Knightmare." I mean, like,
it's kind of funny because we know in advance, and sometimes we'll say that, oh, I guess this is gonna be one of those videos where people are gonna say, "Oh man, why are you just copying stuff off him again?" But it's just, well, you know, just last night we were discussing this of, I wonder when somebody's gonna say something about this. It's probably gonna be another video where we get accused of copying each other.
True that.
I mean, outside of certain scenarios, because there's only so many ways you can build a Gloom Garuda, but most of the time, if we cover the same topic, the builds are pretty different, because I have a very different way of making my builds than you. So if people just go like, oh my god, it's a Frost build, and he just uploaded a Frost build a day ago, obviously it's copied, and he's just riding the waves.
It's completely different, boys. Like, there was a time where...
I did watch yours. It was completely different from the way I went with my Frost.
I didn't see your Frost video. Huh.
It was a Zeneric Latum build where it was just overkill. I piled on Biting Frost with the AoE on Fulmination.
That's cheating with Latum, bro.
It was one of those very few, you want big DPS numbers, I show you big DPS numbers.
Did you use Biting Frost with Latum, I'm guessing?
Oh, yeah, and it was a 99.6% strip build, and I went close to cheat on Latum. Just casually shitting out 1,000,000 damage here, left and right and center.
Oh, that's cheating. Oh, and for those who don't know, right, me and Aznvasions are both in the same stream team. Power Creep. You see, sorry. God dang it. Asian Invasions. All right. We got Knightmare Frame. I Flynn as well. Y'all know I Flynn, right? The brand safe person. Speaking of brand safe, right? When are we gonna get an Asian invasion glyph into Warframe? You know? He's been in this community for a while. He's been making videos. DE, come on. He even made your rally look good. I don't do that.
Well, as you know how it currently is, it's invite only, and it's...
Yeah. Man,
I'm just doing my thing.
I remember the days when you had to apply, get rejected. I got rejected so many times. When I finally got in, I was happy. The one thing I was happy about was just to get the glyph in the game. You know, so people were asking, yo, are you a Warframe partner? I'm like, nah. Finally got in. I was happy. I was excited. You know, it was decent back and forth. Then slowly, you know, sourness built up. And then the Great Purge happened. For those who don't know,
you know,
it's a long story. No, I'm just saying, for those who don't know, they just wanted to get rid of people that they did not like. So instead of individually kicking people out, they're like, you know what, we're gonna start from scratch. It was good. It was good for a lot of people who wanted to get in and had something to show, got in. But unfortunately, people who got in we're not good content creators. Let's just use that word. There we go. Yes.
Yeah, I kind of just stand by my side at this point and just see my mutuals as my friends, that where we can just have fun and make content off of each other on shenanigans, stuff like this, or was level cap archway. But honestly, it's just the case of
that was pain.
Yeah, I've already resolved myself to this point. It's like, well, if I don't get in, that doesn't stop me from making content. I can still make content for the game that I love, regardless.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it also makes me think about how long we stay in people's minds even after we leave. Like a lot of people have made big impacts. Like iFlints with his beginner's guides. I still see people to this day mention him about how his beginner guides were so useful. But not everybody reaches that point too, and it's kind of a shame eventually if sometimes people forget, but maybe you just chose to move on your side for whatever you wanted to do. Because I will get some people asking that, oh, what's the glyph that you have? Is that your glyph? It's kind of different from when you normally have on your channel. Can I get it? And I realize, oh,
you can't.
They don't know who Tav is.
Yeah. For me, it was Noob Showtech, right?
They were both awesome creators in their time. A lot of inspiration.
True that. Damn. So, well, as a Warframe content creator at the moment, where do you see yourself in this journey? Like, and in terms of Warframe, like, how do you feel in the direction of the game and the content that you can do for it?
I feel we do need an endgame because the most common rebuttal to endgames is, well, only 2% of the player base plays it, or like only 0.9% whatever and whatnot, stuff like that. That's normal.
Yeah,
you're going in making contents knowing that very little part of the player base will play it. But what matters about it is not, like, obviously how many people play it does matter.
Yeah.
But Endgame offers something where people a lot of the times bond over. It's where we have stuff like the raid school bus that's no longer, which obviously has its downsides and its upsides, but there wasn't really anything else like that in Warframe. A sense of not communities from clans and whatnot, but just communities from the player base as a whole, and something for people to really remember that they were a part of. I'm not saying that like, oh, there's nothing worth remembering now, but it's just it's a different experience. And I understand that maybe DE just doesn't want to invest that time and funding into doing something like that, but I really do wish that we would get at least some iteration of Endgame. And to this day, I'm still kind of wondering why we never got the endless tower model with increasing modifiers, where you just start off with very, very basic gear, kind of like a roguelite.
Yeah.
Like that was mentioned. Who was it that originally covered? I think it was Triburos.
The Loki guy.
Yeah. And he went quite in depth with that.
That was actually a
very good idea. And I thought that was awesome, and that hopefully we'll be able to see it one day. And that requires a lot less dev time than something like implementing a new raid or fixing all the raid bugs, since it's kind of just recycled floors with modifiers and stuff and gear that we already know that works, which maybe there might be a couple of acquisition bugs that they need to fix.
This sounds like Genshin Abyss.
Like overall, the assets are mostly there already, so that's why I'm kind of surprised that they never chose to implement stats. But I guess that may have come down to what will we give as rewards, sort of thing. That's a whole other discussion of how I feel rewards and the content are two separate things. They can go together, but it's more important that the content is enjoyable to start with, because no matter how good the loot is, like Eidolons is probably the best example.
Yeah.
Most people hate Eidolons for various reasons. They had very good loot. It's gone down in value, but it was pretty much the best loot we've ever had in Warframe for when Eidolons came out, because raids got retired. So raids were no longer the top tier thing for, oh man, this makes the big plat sort of deal. But Eidolons still fell by the wayside despite passionate hunters like us, just because enough of the player base deems, well, it's not worth it. I don't like this. And then that became the vocal, in this case, majority. And that's just because the content wasn't designed well enough. I think it was decently designed, but there were definitely very big flaws.
It was because at that time, it's still in its infant stage. Warframe was just still a baby, because Plains was the first open world. So it felt like they were experimenting, and it was good and bad at the same time. There were a bunch of bugs, still are there, still bugs are there, but I felt that they would have, matured a bit. They kind of went in a almost good route. When I say almost good, because Profit Taker was a really nice change of pace. However, it just didn't have, you didn't need to kill the Profit Taker. It didn't give you an incentive. The reason why Profit Taker isn't as impactful as Eidolons is, for one, right? You can do it whenever you want. It wasn't a timed event where you gathered up. You didn't need specific gear. You didn't need to prepare yourself. And the rewards, abysmal. It was just credits and what? Mod and relics. Yeah. That's why Profit Taker failed, but the boss fight is quite enjoyable. Yeah.
I agree that I think on paper, Eidolons and Profit Taker had very interesting mechanics, but the implementation of said fight is what let it down in the end, and various things depending on the rewards or whatnot, where Profit Taker kind of gets shafted on that side. But it always seems to be that the DE has a really cool concept that shows a lot of promise, and somehow they manage to implement it in a way that pushes people away. Even if people were hyped up for it at the start, even if they gave like live demos, where obviously that's not representative of the final product, but we're seeing actual gameplay and it seems good enough, but somehow the gameplay itself, when we get it, always falls short for whatever reason. Not necessarily because of the hype, but just something about the fight always rubs us the wrong way. And I think the Profit Taker suffered. Profit Taker at start was, I would say, it was significantly impacted people's impressions because of the amount of knockdown spam it had at launch.
It was
this was before
Puncture
Footed was 100% anti-knockdown. So that was really, really bad. You couldn't appreciate any of the mechanics in the fight, because any enemy that came over to you that you aggroed could just knock you down, and you would just get chained, being stunned on the ground, and you die. And that's just not an enjoyable experience at all. And again, as we pointed out, that has nothing to do with the fight mechanics itself. It's just the ads were obviously overtuned.
And not only that, it's like the whole talk about, you know, DE testing and releasing test servers, like how they do test their stuff, right? But it's them, it's not the players. Developers and players are two different people. They see the game differently, right? We experience the game differently. Not to say you can't say DE doesn't play their own game. They do play their own game, but they don't play it like we do. So there will be a lot of things that we will find out right away that they don't see. They will see some technical issue, like, oh, this isn't happening, blah blah, but we will see like, oh, I can't do this specific action during this area where it's usually supposed to be a phase where I'm building up some sort of damage or getting together my whatever, like the setup. Let's say, for example, Eidolons, you know, pre-shielding, all that, getting together for the lures, putting in the shrine. There will be something off usually when they release it that they don't see, but we do. And do you think, like, sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No, it's fine.
I was just gonna
ask your question.
I was gonna ask, like, do you think, like, if they add raids and dungeons, will that ignite like the passion, the love of the game for some people, or reintroduce newer people to the game?
I'm thinking if they actually introduce raid, like, imagine if they dropped it alongside crossplay, cross-save. That would actually be insane.
Damn.
But I'm not sure if they themselves feel confident in shipping it, because they're obviously aware of the amount of bugs that are in the game. It's they may turn a blind eye to a lot of stuff, but they know that there's a lot of bugs there. And I feel it's, as much as I don't like it, and I prefer it to be another way, but they don't have infinite amounts of money. And obviously it does make more sense for the player base to just test stuff for you on live. It's
gonna be cheaper,
even though it's a balancing act, because if you do it too much and the product is too shitty, then it pushes people away. But if it's good enough, then people will still stick around. And I think they're trying to find that balance to cut the costs. It's unfortunate this is the way how things had to go, but I do understand. It's, if people ask me about it on how I prefer it to be, then yeah, I can give that I prefer it to be with test servers and whatnot. But obviously that takes time, but it also makes me wish that why can't they just test internally better? Because occasionally, well, I would say more than occasionally, we will get a bug that I cannot fathom how it made it through test and then got into prod. Like, it just doesn't make sense. That I think one of the most recent outlier ones was the Grendel crash bug from eating too many enemies.
Yeah, I remember that.
Where they had a patch for that, but they failed to ship it in the main line. And they said, like, oops, we left it out. We'll add it in the next hotfix. Like, I understand people can miss that, but at the same time, how do you miss that? Aren't people responsible for overlooking what is actually going to ship? And this was one of the, if not the most game-breaking bug that was coming out the update, because you were basically guaranteed able to crash your game and host migrate everybody every single time you attempted this. And it was very reliable. It was just suck up more than 90 enemies with the augment, because that's what it lets you do, since it was easier to sustain health and energy, since we have stuff like blood altar, whatnot. And as soon as you try to yeet all 90 enemies at once, without fail, it would always crash your game, no matter what, like, guaranteed. And it wasn't even hard to do, because Liam on stream, he actually got up to 170 enemies sucked on Sedna Selkie. So it was not even hard to get to the amount of enemies needed
he
to crash
sucked it. It wasn't even hard. What the hell, bro?
And
what is this?
Take him up on that. I don't know how he pulls that off. Maybe he has a secret trick on how to get that done.
He pulled it off. Oh my god, jeez.
Like, I know Liam was doing it repeatedly. Yes, repeatedly. But he was filing that reports nonstop to DE. And I was watching a couple other Warframe streamers that day too, and they also had the crash bug and they were submitting it too. And I'm thinking, wow, there's so many people on the test cluster, at least higher profile. I'd expect at least DE to pay attention to. If you're on a test cluster and you're a content creator, probably the stuff you do there is worth more, since a lot of the things you're most likely doing is entertainment for stream, which means you are probably looking for bugs intentionally just to entertain stream. So I would think like maybe something up there should be churning and thinking, oh, these people in the test cluster, maybe they'll have more interesting data. And the majority of the people I watched that day, as well as even people that aren't streamers, I heard them mention it too, about how easy it was to crash your game as Grendel. And that using, like, say, Aqua Blades on Grendel's Meatball or in Titania's Razor Wing would also be a guaranteed crash in the game, because I guess they didn't have some type of handler to deal with being in some type of non-Warframe form and trying to use Surging Blades. That was a guaranteed crash as well.
Form. Damn.
Yeah, it basically anything that was not in the traditional Warframe form, if you had Aqua Blades casted and you tried to shoot a Surging Blades out, it would crash your game.
Sheesh.
So that made it through and got patched in the main line, but Grendel's bug was not patched, and it was shipped several days later. And I'm just thinking, like, how do things stuff like this make it through? It's like, okay, maybe you can give them the slide because it's a one-off sort of thing, but then you end up with other bugs. The infamous operator earpiece would interfere with certain fire modes of a weapon. I don't know what it was. Was it the Stulta or an amp or something like that? There was an operator cosmetic earpiece that was interfering with certain weapons. And while that can make it through because it's kind of obscure, I'm just wondering, how does something like that happen in the first place? Like, sure, there is spaghetti code, but that is some next level spaghetti code.
Wait, because I remember, was this during the time where Void Dash wouldn't proc Shadow?
Yeah, it was actually around the same time. I don't know if it was before or after, but it was during that same mainline era of one before or one after.
Because I was going mad. It was like me and Bright and some other Eidolon hunters. We got so much evidence and footage, and also this is when I was still in the partner program. I posted it there, like it got no response, but someone posted, oh, this like my earpiece is going through the hair and this is happening. Boom, it got fixed instantly. Like it was actually acknowledged, and my thing wasn't acknowledged. I had to DM one of the community managers or some I don't know what she is now. At DM them and everything, showed them the evidence and all the footage, explained how it was happening, how it was not triggering. It took like what, 2 weeks?
It was 2 weeks. 2 weeks until it got patched. And it was a very, very simple bug too. It wasn't even contrived. It was literally just all operator void mode stuff, and anything related to operator was always considered an ability. And they were just disabling abilities from being able to which, by the way, some abilities still can. Abilities from proccing stuff like Pack Seeker, which requires headshots. And collateral damage was, well, now you can't proc Shadow using abilities anymore, where everything the operator does is considered an ability at that time, before they made the toggle so that operator abilities are separate from Warframe. Yeah.
Proof.
And that was all it had to be. It's just classify operator abilities as a separate type that's not compatible with being disabled on proccing arcanes, and we're back to proccing Shadow again with dashes. But it took 2 weeks for that to get addressed, because I do feel like at this point Eidolons are just that demon that DE doesn't want to address. They're just like, man, what have we done? And we don't want to look at this thing anymore. I understand it's old content, but a lot of the bugs, like some of them are more obscure bugs than hunting. We don't really know what happens, but some of them, like this one for Shadow, is very, very simple. And the fact that it took 2 weeks to patch says a lot about their opinions on Eidolons, which it's, I mean, you can't love everything, but it's a shame that it's gone this way.
You want to know something funny?
What?
Something funny? I was always stating, like, whenever an update goes through, it always affects Eidolon hunts, and I've proven it. And there was this one time, right? Like, this usually happened. They release a hotfix during night cycle. And I was like, I think one of the Warframe peeps was in chat that time, and I was like, yo, listen, you gotta stop doing hotfixings during night. When was the last time they did a hotfix during night cycle at this time? It's been a while, right?
It has been a while. I think there
You're
was
welcome.
even wasn't
You're
on
welcome.
one of the streams they had like a little clock up top, and Reb was like, "Hey, look, see, this is how we know if it's night or day in Cetus now, so we don't release hotfixes in the middle of the night cycle."
You're welcome. You are
The
welcome.
funnier thing was before that, people already raised the point,
Yeah.
and they stopped releasing it during night. But after a little bit, they just started releasing hotfixes in the middle of night again, like as if it never happened.
No.
And then I'm just like, dude,
when did they do that?
I don't really remember at this point, but
Well,
it
you're
was
not
definitely
welcome
brought up in
anymore.
the past. And I guess they were just deemed it as, well, you know, like we did it for a little bit. It's honestly like, who cares? It's such a small part of the player base. But let's just release the hotfix so we don't have to wait on it, because they want to see if they need to hotfix the hotfix, right?
Yeah.
Because that's pretty normal. Like, I'm not gonna say anything about that. It's, you want to release stuff on time, which releasing stuff on time? Anyways, releasing stuff on time so you can see if you need to stick around longer before the workday ends to patch anything that's considered game breaking. And that might have been the reason why, but I guess maybe it's a little bit better planned out now, where they preemptively figure out, okay, when's the next night cycle? Do we think we can ship it before then or ship it after? And they just do it like that. Because,
hustle.
50 minutes isn't that bad. But if you never consider the 50 minutes to start out with and you're in the middle of a night, then it's just, do I really want to be just tapping my pen here for half an hour? So that's probably why they originally just went back to releasing it in the middle of the night.
Lunch break. Let's
But
go for
it's
lunch
good
break,
now. We
boys.
don't have it anymore. True. Have fun. Oh wait, you're just uploading it raw. You're not cutting anything.
I will add
Oh,
like
okay.
some little video things or whatever. Okay, I mean we're almost near the end of this segment, right? So
Segue to our sponsor.
yes, sponsored by no. So now what do you think DE needs to add or change to make Warframe excel, become one of the greatest games out there? Because for me, it's simple. I've always been saying, like, if you're gonna do it, start from the ground up. Warframe 2, just do it, you know. Because if you can't change all the nasty little bugs and the inconsistencies, you know, I don't know. I don't know how this works with engines and building up a game all over again. I think this will help out a lot because, for one, we have too much particle effects, as you know what I'm talking about. That can clutter your game sometimes. Like, if you ever played with Zephyr and Wisp and had max particles on, and you shoot something into it, it would actually stutter your game. The Proboscis Cernos can stutter the game, no matter how beefed up your PC is, right? Though those are like things that's like, you know, if you can like make the game with like a new engine or something. If we had to, if they can do it and we're able to reinstall the game without, you know, them having to make Warframe 2, that'll be great. And if they can rework the mission types, like, they're outdated missions, let's be honest. Like,
Oh yeah, definitely.
capture, exterminate, assassination. It's just like, why do you exist? You know?
I hear assassination, I just think of Sergeant.
Friggin' Sergeant. Goddamn. Formerly
Supposed to
known
get an
as
update years ago.
Neff Anyo. Yeah, Sergeant Neff Anyo or some shit like that. And they're like, we like Neff Anyo. Let's make him a different character. But yeah, what would you think they need to add or change to WARFRAME? He's thinking.
I can't think of one big universal. Okay, there technically is, but it's harder to implement, and it's not as well thought out on my side. It's just, I want raids back. I want the other endgame stuff if it's not raid, like the towers. But there's certain other things that I really wish they would do. You notice how a lot of people mentioned that, at least when the galvanized mods came out, that why do we have to run Steel Path to get mods that make us better at Steel Path? Like, why would you do this? Show me one other game that lets you grind side contents to make main content easier. Like, not just, oh, you get stronger, but important gear to run the main content better typically comes from the main content. You don't run trials to get gear that is best in slot to run raids better. Like, that's not the way how it works. If you want best in slot raid gear, you just run the raid more.
I mean, if you're bringing up trials, I have to bring up the Reed's Regret. That's a trials weapon, bro. That thing slaps.
True. It's just where did people want the galvanized to be moved to? I'm pretty sure I had a feeling that a lot of people were thinking just move it to normal star chart. I'm just saying no, that's not how it goes. Like, that's not player progression. That's like player power spiking, and that's not how you want the game to go. No. And where else did we have to move them? Well, besides very contrived stuff like Eidolons, which obviously I don't think the E would ever consider moving it there, they moved it to arbitrations, which was the very sensible decision because that's all that we had left. And then people were acting like as if, oh my god, how could you ever move it to there? Wow, this is even worse off. Well, where else would they have put it?
Exactly.
And I agree too that it is worse off, and it should have just stayed in Steel Path. It's like, sure, maybe you just need to use more broken builds earlier on if you don't want to figure out the harder builds, then you'll get the galvanized mods.
Here's something that can be a big shocker. Rework sorties, galvanized mods. Make sorties have a currency that you get that you can use for, sortie specific loot. You don't need a syndicate. For the love of God, chill with the syndicates. But you can have a vendor, a merchant. Right? When you do your sorties, you have Ayatan sculptures. For example, let's say Ayatan sculptures weren't only used to convert into Endo, but you can use that for other things, to let's say upgrade the quality of a mod. You can take split chamber and make it galvanized chamber. I'm just saying. I don't know.
When I look at
Yeah.
When I look at when you mentioned syndicates, I instantly thought about the Zeramin, which is its own thing. I don't really know what they can do about the syndicate thing, but when I thought about that, it made me think of Angels, and I'm thinking it's feels like wasted potential.
Yeah.
Because they have really good design. They have some really interesting attacks, but they feel too easy. And I'm just thinking, imagine if you booted up Steel Path and you could trigger certain conditions to make 3 angels spawn instead of just 1. They all fight you at the same time. They're way more aggressive and they attack faster. They have new attacks and coordinated attacks. No, we can't have that. It's too hard.
No. Coming from the same people, we want raids. Yeah.
But it would be conditional activations, right? Didn't, what was it? Law of Retribution had conditional activations too, did it? Or not? I don't really remember. Or was it? No, I think it was Destiny. Or I don't even remember at this point. But I'm thinking conditional activated stuff is technically a way to answer. Like, people that get salty that, why is there a hard mode? It's too hard. I can't clear this. Well, just make one mode that has certain things that you can trigger to make it way harder if you want it to.
Oh, I'm down for that.
And now you can't really complain. Well, it's too hard? You don't need to do the too hard version to clear. That's entirely up to you. It has better loot? Well, it's all the same game modes. You're playing the same game mode. You can get that loot if you want to do it. It's not like people are doing a mode that you can't do that requires higher gear requirements or stuff like that, because everybody's playing the same thing.
I would want something for people who do the content that has higher gear requirement get better rewards. Now, some of you be like, but it's not fair. It actually is fair, because you're putting in the effort. You're doing something that's challenging, that's requiring a bit more of your time and your mechanical skills. Warframe mechanical skills. I'm sorry. You're doing all of that. You should be rewarded for it, not just, here's the same reward that guy came in with his pew pea shooter, cleared it, and he gets, that you get the same thing. No, I would want people to be rewarded for their efforts. For example, people who do, let's say, endurance runs, or actually complete certain objectives that, are, deemed challenging. They should be rewarded for that, not just the fucking, pardon my language, not just, what is that thing? The leaderboards that disappears after like a couple of days or something,
Remember the survey we got after, was it TennoCon?
Oh, and yeah.
The part about raids, should there be wipe checks?
Yes.
And it was a yes or no. And I'm just thinking, why is this a question? Like, a lot of people are going to vote no, but the other thing is you've made raids in the past in Warframe and they had wipe checks, so why would you remove them now?
Yeah.
Raids are not meant to be handhold. The whole point of raids is that it represents a piece of land in the game where it stands alone on itself. Not necessarily, it is technically Content Island, but it's a puzzle for you to solve. You need to figure it out yourself and explore. It lets you use everything you've learned in the game to try and solve what is thrown in your direction. So why would you remove wipe checks?
I have a simple solution for that.
Well, I don't need to do mechanics anymore. Let's just find a way to cheese it through since it can't guaranteed wipe us anyways.
Yeah.
Like, that's what people's answer is going to be if there aren't wipe checks.
Yeah. I feel that DE is scared. Scared of the comments that they'll get from the casual player base. That they can't complete this objective. It's too hard. The usual nonsense that you get. I think they're afraid of that and they just don't want to deal with it. So they're asking, just to see what the majority picks. And it's
just pull a Lost Ark. Make an Argos before you make a Vulcan. Problem solved.
Legit. They should, yeah, exactly. Make something that, that eases people into it, and then make something even tougher. And after that, when people get used to that tougher thing, something even tougher. You're basically progressing. Raids are supposed to be a challenging end game, encounter that you would go in and experience it with other players. All fulfilling a specific task. You have, this is like, in an MMO setting, you have your DPSs and you have your support and a tank. You don't necessarily have to have the same thing as other MMOs, but have something Warframe specific. Like, oh, you need to do this. You need to go up there, maintain something. For example, that whole that event. What is that event? The one with the Corpus mission. You have to fight the was it a Lynx? Whatever. You had to hack some bursas, and then it will
the Razorback Armada?
Razorback, yeah. That's a simple example of a raid mechanic. It's very bad, but something like that where you have to split the task to different people.
Yeah. I actually liked that part about the fight. I remember the first time I fought Razorback, I was like, oh, this is confusing. How do I get through this? I can't really seem to damage the shields. Is there some other way with this? And then I discovered, oh, so you do it this way. And it's nice because it's not hard. It's just that there are mechanics that you have to do. And all you got to do is just agree that somebody needs to go and do it. And communication is another part of raids. I understand that a lot of people just like to play Warframe solo, but hey, there's literally 96% of the entire rest of the game where you don't ever need to communicate. So what's wrong about there just being this one game mode where communication is so important? I mean, we already have it in Hunts, which is technically the test bed after raids were removed. That's okay, sure, there's toxic people there, but we've established that, yes, it is possible to actually communicate things in a hunt in a way that allows the hunt to progress without turning everything into a shit show. Yeah. So we could build off of that and then just implement something in raids that goes like, hey, we need somebody over there to do that mechanic, because if we don't, well, we'll wipe. It's not like, oh, you need to do some special mechanical skill check or aim at something fancy. It's just, no, just send a person over there and everything is fine.
But the one thing I also don't like about Eidolons, I said it, is that there's a heavy DPS check. When I'm saying DPS check, that you can skip certain mechanics that the Eidolon, most people, casual people, experience all these attacks and stomps and swings and I don't know what they shoot, laser beams. We skip most of that because we're phasing it through a high DPS check, one tapping shields along with the limbs. So it's back up, boom, he doesn't even have time to react because we have the DPS check. If we have something like that in raids, it will be bad. I should say there should be a mechanical encounter and a DPS window. Not something like the like the Jackal, where it's just, you know, you run around, shoot it, it's invulnerable, run around. No. There has to be something where you go in there, you DPS, something happens, you have to shoot certain things, go up there, fight some enemies, clear some hordes, come back to the boss, DPS, and then move on. You know, something that can actually make the fight worthwhile and a lot more stimulating to engage, you know? Like, oh my god, I want to do this. Like, what comes after that? What happens if we do this strat instead of that strat? I would love that.
I've actually quite disliked the state that Eidolons have been in a while. Like,
same.
For me, it was the helmet system that did it for me.
Really?
The last time that hunts actually posed, they seemed like the kind of, if I draw similarities to Attack on Titan sort of things where they're just looming over the wall. The last time they seemed like that to me, not necessarily because, oh, I can't do it, but just as an actual hurdle to overcome, was before the helmet system was introduced, because you actually had to balance your damage buffs. Like, there was no way that you could produce overwhelming amounts of damage, and it was actually quite difficult to... Damage Blessing came after that too. I think Helmet came first, right? And
yeah, Helmet first and then Damage Bless, yeah.
So that's why some people ask me, it's like, why do you just hunt without Helmet, or why don't you use ribbons on the meme runs and whatnot? It's because that was when it actually felt enjoyable for me, where I couldn't just cheese my way through all the damage, and I had to figure out, how would I actually do this? And my teammates were trying to figure out, see, I would actually ban Melt from those runs.
Oh, so that I hated Melt back in the days. I mean,
just be, oh, you succeeded because your VSers blew the limbs off for you. So instead, there was an actual challenge of, no, if the DPS doesn't perform properly, then the run will not succeed. So everybody has to do their job. You can't carry the rest of the team the way through in those meme runs, and that's how I liked it back then. And some people might just be, oh, you're just a masochist, you like to make things hard for yourself. Well, that's the thing. I don't want Eidolons to be just easy cheese, and I know a lot of people prefer the way Eidolons are like now, and they will only touch it because of the way it is now. But for us who have all the tools available, it's like you're just drop kicking a baby at this point. There's a million ways to break limbs and take out shields so easily, and it's just, it doesn't feel enjoyable anymore to me. Now I just feel like I'm going for my daily stroll of just going to kick a dog and then just come back home and move on with my, like, that's literally what it feels like.
Kick a dog, dude.
I remember the days back when it's, you go in, you didn't really need to do it. People were just, okay, let's go in so we can pre-charge and all that stuff. Nope, now it's just, oh, middle of the cycle, let's just go in and blow up the shields and call it a day. That's pretty much all it is.
Yeah, and also what annoyed me the most are the Macro Andes and Bone Widow Andes. Oh my god.
I just don't really bother discussing those topics with those people anymore when they choose to bring it up. I just stand by, if you're leaving because Bone Widow was patched, well, I guess you were part of the generation of hunters that only started hunting when Bone Widow was a thing.
There we have.
What about all the people that hunted before Bone Widow existed? We don't care that it got patched. It has no impact on us at all. Maybe you should have actually learned how spawn mechanics work in the game instead of relying on a bug, which I'm guilty of using certain bugs, but this was bugs are a sliding scale, and the Bone Widow strat was basically bypassing a very significant portion of the fight that is normally required to understand to speedrun effectively.
And did you know
it's like the equivalent of if you could just heal skip consistently. It's like, oh, why bother to do the fight if it's, you can't really do it consistently? But that's pretty much what Bone Widow was. Why spend time putting effort into the fight to go through the whole thing when I can just blow up his kneecap and save time that way and not have to worry about how long the night cycle is anymore? That's pretty much what Bone Widow was.
Bro, you wanna know something else? There was also the time when you released the... I didn't speak about Bone Widow at all on my streams, nor did I want to, nor did I want to show it, because I was afraid something would happen, but then you did that video, you showcased Bone Widow, and then I'm like, you know what? If he did it, I'm gonna deliberately show it on streams how Bone Widow works, just so DE can patch it.
I was hoping it would get patched.
Yeah.
Also, I showed it because I heard it from enough people, and even people from recruit chat were already using it before I made the video. I was like, well, I guess it's time. Let's just get this hatchet buried with. And there were some people that were actually really angry with me when I showed it. I'm just like, so you're angry that I showed DE well, not even DE, because I don't think that took, what, half a year to get patched after I put it out, so I highly doubt that had anything to do with me. But you're angry that I'm covering a bug that lets you bypass part of the fight so that you don't have to do the fight at all in the intended way.
Listen,
because you don't want other people to use it and you don't want it to get patched.
Yeah. This
That's
also reminds me...
very narrow way of thinking. Narrow-minded, rank 10. Right there.
You know, it's hilarious. It took him that long to patch Bone Widow. It's the same thing. This was the same thing with Anomaly. For those who don't know, you new school hunters, back in the day, okay, Magus Anomaly did the same thing as Bone Widow. You could move the Eidolon. This was it only worked on Gary and the Hydralist. It didn't work on the Terrorist.
That was after the patch. That was
yeah.
Do you remember how it was working on everything? They said, we patched it, it no longer works, but they only patched it for Terry, and they left it like that for 4 months until they finally
Dude, it was 8 months, bro. It was there for such a long time.
8 months.
We
Holy
abused
crap.
the F out of it, dude. We got
move Hydro back and just seed it.
We got some stupid 6s. Like, this was the time where, like, oh, I can do a 6x3. I was ashamed because that's that was one of the first ways we did a 6, and this was, you know, Shraksun meta, you know, those days. Damn. We just moved like, honestly, the Hydralist onto land. They couldn't move.
I didn't really mind when people used Anomaly, but the way I saw it was, if you're using this so you can get better at hunts and push for 6 more consistently, I don't care. Go ahead and do it. It gives you more chances to learn how to daywalk properly and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, okay, well, you don't really need to. But, I mean, it was basically use it at your own discretion. If you just use it so you never have to worry about day, then, well, that's on you. If you use it because you feel like you're going to lose the 6 otherwise, then sure. But the people that can only 6, if they use Anomaly, that's where I'm just like, okay, now you're just getting to the area where if I took this away from you, you would not be able to do a 6 at all.
That's just sad, yeah. L+ ratio right there.
No.
All right, okay, this just should be the final topic. This should be the final topic, all right? Meta. How do you feel about the current gameplay meta of Warframe and how people complain about meta and why the meta is meta? There was a lot of meta there. But anyway. The
Three
first
letters popped up in my head. Can you guess what they are?
Oh, does those 3 letters have a what do you call it? A significant phrase that has you ponder on the future? That fucking chuckle, dude.
Possibly.
Okay, no, but seriously though, seriously, what do you think of the current gameplay meta, like legit meta, like AoEs and all that, and how it's affecting a lot of the weapons?
I would much prefer if DE just bettered the AI and added more interesting enemies as obstacles for us to overcome. The problem is I can't really see them doing that because it takes them forever to come up with an actually interesting new unit, which means since they refuse to touch the AI and enemy diversity, it makes it very, very hard to design things that just don't get face rolled by AoE weapons. I would much prefer AoE to stay the way it is, but add certain enemies and things and mechanics in the game that make it less desirable so that AoE does not have to get nerfed and still has its place. But if they refuse to do anything about mechanics and enemies, what is there otherwise to do? Like, I'm not saying that, oh, bring AoE down to single target weapons, but the divide between AoE weapons and single target weapons is so big that I don't know how you can buff single target weapons up high enough to compete properly with AoE weapons. Because there's nothing stopping you from using AoE besides, I mean, I guess Guardian Eximus. But the funny thing about those units is if you just jump up and shoot their head, the direct hit doesn't get any DR.
That's it.
So
all the Xmas, people are complaining about Xmas. Like, oh my god, Xmas is so hard. First day encountering Xmas, just shoot the Brahma. What
it's
Xmas?
Like, well, maybe you're fighting the Guardian Xmas hard because you're fighting them in the way that DE specifically intended them to be good against, where blindly spamming your Brahma at the floor in the general direction of their very obvious rotating 3 shields that you probably shouldn't be shooting into if you're trying to kill them.
Dude, I was just like, you know what? Let me jump up and shoot. Oh, he's dead.
Yeah.
That's it. And you know what made it even funnier? Czar deleted Overguard because of the little bomblets.
The bomblets?
Dude. And you know what's even funnier? Bleed stanks and heat stanks also depleted Overguard.
Oh,
like crazy.
That they still work so well for that.
Yeah.
I feel Czar's bomblets have some kind of funky coating on them because from what I've seen, they appear to have infinite body punch through, which is weird. Somebody was testing this with Zada's Whisper. I don't know if it rehits like Arcaplasma, but the fact that it has those type of properties is interesting. I've also noticed this because when you shoot Czar at, you know, those weird geometry things on ceilings in the void tile, it bounces off really weirdly with the bomblets. Like, you can't really get the bomblets to go where you want to if you're trying to shoot around corners. Czar's just interesting. And actually what I've noticed is I used to always hate Brahma and Czar. I still dislike them quite a bit. But over time, there have been builds that come out where there were certain things that can only be done with a Brahma, and there are certain things that can only be done with a Czar. And I think one of the most obvious cases where, I mean, it's a pretty meta build at this point, the Gloom Garuda build, it cannot be done with any kind of efficiency using a Brahma compared to what the Czar can do, because it's entirely reliant on piling on as much fire rate as possible, which, and people didn't know this, the Brahma is affected by reload speed. The reload speed determines how long of a time between when you shoot an arrow before you're allowed to start charging another shot.
Yep. So that's why if you combine both fire rates and reload, it completely goes crazy. That's why Volt and Brahma, woo!
Gauss and Brahma with his built-in pressure footage.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. But that's why Brahma's just disfavored on the Gloom Garuda setup, since Czar's just click, and then it's, well, reload? What is reload?
Press sort 3.
Scenario. Yeah.
But that's with using the augment. Also, okay, so piling on to that topic, how do you feel about the people who complain, oh, you're just this is meta, you're just a meta person, blah, blah. Like, how do you feel about those? Like, people who complain about the most effective tactic available. So basically, they prefer cucking themselves instead of doing. I mean, I'm not saying you can't play like that. I'm saying if you're doing a specific content, you wanna, you know, finish it efficiently, kill the mobs and bosses efficiently. Like, do you have a right at that point to complain? And
I always have one piece of advice I give to people that come to me with that. And I always remind them that it's a game. The most important thing is to have fun, but you may have probably seen today in the stream when I did mention this, fun is subjective. But this is important. Because a lot of people come and go through the game, and one of the most popular things you'll hear from anybody who's been around longer than, I guess, a month or two is that, oh, I'm burned out, there's nothing left for me to do. And it's, how about you focus less on what is the fastest way? Like, sometimes you may want to do that, but the game is not all about what is the fastest way you can do this, what is the absolute biggest number you can get. Like, you can, but I don't feel that your entire focus in the game should revolve around is there a bigger number I can always get? Can I always do this faster? There's many other things you can explore in the game. There's people that, it's not even that popular these days, but there's people that just breed Kavats and Kubros, and that's how they make their plat. And I always come back telling people, is if you're worried about plat in the game and you're wondering how you can get to the end game, like people like us are, which honestly is because we've been playing for so long, we literally have years of experience gap of acquiring loot compared to the people that are typically asking. But I tell them is, find something you enjoy doing in the game that can also sell stuff for plat. It doesn't need to be the most best platinum farm, but if you find something that can make plat and you enjoy doing it, you're gonna last a lot longer in the game and enjoy your time here a lot more than you trying to chase what's the next fastest, biggest way I can make 1,000 platinum instantly. Because outside of ribbons, there's very, very few things to spend thousands of plat on, and also, like, some people enjoy doing this, but I'm pretty sure if you reach the point of the game where all you have left is just collect ribbons, most people will get pretty bored. And that's when a lot of people will eventually just move on from the game, which you probably could have avoided by just finding something you enjoy in the game more and just slowing down your path to all I have left to do is just collect expensive ribbons.
Hilariously, right? People who usually say, I've done everything, they have not done everything, right? There's one person who came on the stream, he was like, how do you still play this? Like, I've done everything in the game. And I checked them out. They didn't even touch Railjack. They didn't even touch Eidolons, right? They're missing so many weapons and warframes. I'm like, what have you done, man? You can't say you've done everything if you haven't experienced everything in the game. Because there's always something that keeps people enjoying, it keeps them, playing and enjoying the game. For me, I love hunts. But there are times where, I just feel annoyed because of all the random shit that happens in the hunts. I also love endurance runs, but they've become so stale because they're just too easy. And the thing that really annoyed me the most was just the cluster fuck that the Xmas units were. They weren't difficult. They were just blinding. My eyes were
couldn't see anything.
Like you couldn't see anything.
It's like you went into Captura, the green screen Captura, set the background to black, and just spawn 10 Xmas around you. that's basically what it was.
Yeah. It was just a horrible experience. Like, I don't know, man.
When do we get adaptive exposure as a toggle again, please, DE? Why did you remove it?
Damn. There were probably some other questions I wanted to ask, and I don't know if I forgot them. But I've asked the most important ones, right? TLDR.
Yeah, I would say so.
With meta, right? If you want to do something, if you want to finish your exterminate missions, your capture missions, fishers, go fast and kill fast. For Eidolon hunts, hey, get your gear. Stop complaining. Learn the mechanics. Don't look at what other people are doing and saying, I want to get that right away. Fix what's happening down there first. Get together with a friend. If you don't have friends, join a clan. People who are also interested in doing the same things you are doing. Work together. Practice. Go step by step. There are times where you can get someone who's more experienced and can give you a boost in, not caring, but in lessons. Like, they can tell you, okay, do this and do that. Now try it out, and hopefully you improve. Some people are slow learners, some people are fast learners. You get it right away. And another thing, if you're not feeling the game, you take a break. Yeah. And hopefully this TennoCon, this is like major COPIUM.
Soul frame.
Yeah, I'm saying hopefully TennoCon, with my COPIUM inhaled right now, we get something substantial. And smacks us in the face. Prage.
you know, when you said people, it's like, if you're not feeling the game, then take a break. I would say one of the secrets of Warframe is, even though a lot of people like to play it solo, it's always more fun with friends. I mean,
Yes.
how do they think we got to the point where we are? We have other people to play with, and it even lets you do stuff like level cap Archwing, which
no.
you only do that. See, that at that point, the reason why those type of runs happen is not because I want to do the Archwing level cap. It's not because I actually want to test how far I want to go there. It's because I just have people I can dick around on a call with and just do whatever I want in the time span it takes to do the run. Because that run actually passed by way faster than I thought it felt. And I think it's hard to find people willing to play with. But to completely shut it out and refuse to play anything but solo, you are doing the game a lot of disservice, because there is
And
a lot of
injustice.
interesting and injustice. A lot of interesting, quirky, like bug-related things that are not always bad. Some of them are hilarious.
And there's
and really
synergies,
good,
too.
as well as the things that you can accomplish together that are otherwise impossible to do as a solo frame. You might just think, oh, wait, what happens if you shoot a Nadaruk into a Vauban's Vortex bubble? I wonder. But stuff like that, and obviously to us that's nothing new, but a lot of other people were probably thinking, wait, it can do that? And you won't ever experience those kinds of things unless you play with other people, and that's what opens up a whole nother door for, well, maybe we'll keep playing things together, maybe we'll try other weird stuff, and maybe this content that I dislike so much, because the reason why they say I've tried everything, it's not I've tried everything, it's I've tried everything I liked and I refuse to touch anything I don't like, which understandable is fine, but have you tried it with other people as well? And also, not everybody is the same. Why we stick around? Because we found other people to play with, and so that stuff that we like less, we have friends to kind of smooth over the bumpy road of I hate this, which is a case of I hate Railjack so much, but I will play it if my friends want to, or if it's on stream for stream related stuff. Otherwise, I will not touch Railjack with a 10-foot pole.
Same.
And that's what I think it comes back to. That the community is, I think, more toxic than it likes to let on, but at the same time, the community does shine a lot brighter than a lot of other games I've played, and it is a very big part of what helps you keep longevity in the game and not feel like,
together,
man,
boys
I need to move on to
and
something
girls.
else. Definitely live together, yes.
Yes.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yes. Alright, guys. What the fuck? Anyway, yeah, that was actually an interesting conversation. Not gonna lie. I thought I would run out of things to bring up, but yeah, look where we are. But Aznvasions plays. If you haven't been to his channel, he does quirky builds. When I say quirky, trust me, I mean quirky. Right? If you do not have the mental capacity to use more than everything in your brain to do something, then I don't think you're ready. Especially using the what are those amp arcane, the not amp arcanes, the Deimos,
residuals?
the residuals. Yeah, that's a big way to dank moment. You know,
How about that you really dismantle?
Oh, I ain't gonna do that. No, fuck that. No. That was so copium, bro. I'm like, no.
I was like, hey, it's good enough to work, but it's just good enough to work.
Yeah, it doesn't make your rally great, but you know, if you're really desperate to make your rally work, hey, he's got something for you. Go check him out. Thank you for stopping by. You know, and yeah. Hopefully we
Much
can do.
appreciated.
Yeah, hopefully we can do something.
Anytime. Like a post-patch duos.
Oh yes, we need to do the duos. People have been asking, when are you doing your Eidolon guide? I'm waiting. Wait, tomorrow we get the new stuff, so stay tuned. All right. If you've enjoyed this video and learned something, given you an insight to Warframe and how the content creators feel, please Feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe. I can't believe I did that with you.
And that reminds me of the time where I was recording, but I didn't deafen the Discord call, and you just randomly did a yawn, and it made it into the final video.
Yes. For more Warframe content and streams and so much more, do refer to the description. Thanks for watching, and as always,
Peace.
there you go. Peace.